When you are getting started to learn DevOps, that time you need to understand that you should start learning basics. So here I'm talking about DevOps basics. So what are these DevOps basics? In DevOps, basics means you just need to learn how to execute one particular program. You don't need to learn how to code it, but you need to know how to execute that particular program. So when you are executing it, that time you need to know how to install all the required things which are needed to execute that particular program. For example, if somebody gives you Node.js project, you need to learn how to install Node.js dependencies, and mainly you need to know how to install that particular Node.js itself. So once you are familiar with installing Node.js and how to run that particular project, obviously you will be able to execute that particular project. So that's why you need to learn basics of these things, that how to install the different environment and how to use one basic operating system. Usually it will be Linux, but if it is not Linux, if you want to learn it in Windows, there are that options also available nowadays with WSL and virtual machine. So you don't have to worry about anything in terms of which platform you are on, but you need to learn basics of that particular platform. Second thing is you need to learn how to estimate costs associated with lots of different technologies. For example, when you are using DevOps technologies, that time you will be using different services across the cloud. So you need to learn how to price those particular things, because in the cloud, all the things are not available for free. So whenever there are some service which is not free, that time you need to be able to predict how much they are going to charge and how you can reduce that particular cost in the end. That's why businesses are going to hire DevOps, because whenever one program executes, that time it is going to take some resource from cloud in order to execute. As a DevOps, it's your duty to decrease that particular cost and make sure all the programs are available for end user whenever they are accessing it. Yes, there will be cost associated with it, but you need to learn how to optimize it. When you are learning how to optimize it, that is going to take lots of time, but as a basics, you need to know how much cost is associated with all the different services which you will be using. That's why you need to learn what are these different services and how much they are going to cost for you to use it. And final thing which I want to tell in this particular video is, once you are familiar with the basics of DevOps and you know how much different services are going to cost and what are those services are, then you can start learning different services itself. For example, you need to learn how to use Docker, and once you are familiar with Docker, you might need to learn some kind of orchestration tools like Kubernetes, and there are lots of other technologies like Ansible and Terraform, lots of other technologies which you will be using DevOps in day-to-day life. Many technologies are as simple as GitHub, but there are lots of other technologies like virtual machines and different cloud services which you will be learning as a DevOps. But good thing about these things are you can learn it easily once you are familiar with the basics of them. So that's why if you learn basics of operating system and virtualization, that time you will be easily able to learn Docker, Kubernetes, and maybe lots of other technologies which are related to that particular field. That's why learning basics is most important in this particular thing, that different services are available and all the services has their own basics learning. Especially Linux is one of those basics which you have to learn when you want to become a DevOps engineer. That's why learning Linux and how to use different tools which I mentioned earlier, and there are other tools also which are specific for organization which you will be joining. That's why you need to learn at least basics of different technologies available out there. So that's how you will be able to progress in DevOps world. Don't think DevOps as some kind of book which you will be able to finish it in a few days and you become DevOps expert. That's not how DevOps works. When you are in DevOps, you will be learning the basics of different technologies. Once you are familiar with those basics, you should be able to implement those technologies. And once you are able to implement them in smallest possible way, then you will be able to focus on whatever the company demands whenever you are joining that particular job. That's why learn basics, then explore different technologies in DevOps. So that's it for this video, guys. And if you like this kind of videos, don't forget to hit that like button and see you in the next video. Bye bye.